Okay, so what you'll see is there's all the information here on the left, but on the right you'll see the perks that we're offering, and it starts with a basic thank you perk. For $5, you'll get your name. You'll get a thank you and your name put into our website. It's very early stages for the website, but it's DRAWtastic.org. If anyone wants to go there, it's just a page explaining the app at the moment. It's going to be more than that eventually. It's been pressure getting this whole thing going to this point, but it's great pressure and I loved it, but I haven't got around to building a website around it yet, except that homepage. Anyway, so you're on that page, there will be a thank you sponsor page. Your name will go on that page with a big thank you from us. Okay, so that's at that level. And then if we scroll up, if we go a bit higher to $10, the Animator's Workbook was my first book. It sold well over 70,000 copies. It was kind of, for those who don't know, when that book came out, there were no animation books except Winsor McKay's one. Not Winsor McKay. Who was it?
Preston Blair?
Hmm?
Was it Preston Blair's book?
Preston Blair, yeah, sorry. I was jumping back too far. Preston Blair, and it was a good book. It was a soft cover, and but it didn't have the contemporary, brought up to date contemporary approaches. So the Animator's Workbook was my first, and it really was, apart from Preston Blair, really was at least successfully the first animation book out there, and then everything followed after that. There's so many books now, good and bad, but the Animator's Workbook was only taken out of print a few years ago by the publisher Phaidon, and it wasn't that it wasn't selling. It was selling, but it wasn't making enough money for their corporation, and so they deemed it could go. So I've managed to get a digital copy of it, and a lot of people still come back to me and said, that was my first book in animation, you started me off and everything. And but they can't find it now unless you go to eBay or somewhere. But I thought digital copy. So for $10 donation, you'll get a digital copy of it. Plus, it's the usual thing. Plus, if you donate $10, you'll get the $5 thank you as well. And pretty much most of these are like that. So if we go to the next one, Tony. Yeah. Okay. Well, this is Tony. He can talk about this one.
This is mine. So for those of you who do know me, my name is Tony Ross, and I do a lot of tutorials. My probably favorite thing to animate and also teach in is Toon Boom Harmony. And a while ago, I was talking, had several conversations with Toon Boom about everyone's doing tutorials for the Toon Boom's flagship, which is Harmony Premium, which is used for Simpsons, Disney, and all those different things. However, my first love was their bottom of the line thing, which is Toon Boom Studio. Then it got switched over to Harmony Essentials. So this is the entry level program. So I built out a course on this, a simple way to actually rig and work in Harmony Essentials, basically building characters on the timeline, which is not ideal for production per se, but if you're just kind of playing around or just kind of doing type of hobby things. So I built out this course. This course, technically you could get it from me, but you won't get it for 20 bucks. So because I believed in this, I was like, okay, for 20 bucks, for a $20 donation, you would actually get this. And again, we're doing a lot of the perks. These are digital, so it actually lets us keep the push more of the money toward the cause versus printing of t-shirts, yada yada yada. So yes, that is what that particular perk is. And so that would be, this is like what is that, the old lady who swallowed a fly? So Harmony Essentials course, that would be the digital book, as well as, hold on one second, as well as the, oh yeah, thank you, and thank you. So that would be on the 20 level. On the next level, Tony, it's back on you.
Yep. Okay, so on the app, on the beta version of the app right now, there are 2 paid for courses or 2 pay for courses. And one is about learning, and they're more, one of them at least. The first one is a beginner's course. It's like learn animation, but by using flipbooks. And I do recommend that if you're really just starting out. You don't want to buy software, you don't want to buy hardware like 2D animation, traditional pencil, paper, peg bars, cameras, all that. You don't want all that. You can actually learn animation on a flipbook. And I did this as a course for, would you believe it, Chinese students that were trying to learn English but loved animation at the same time. So I was asked to create a course where I teach animation using flipbooks. And this is a video, an edited video of that course. It's an extensive course, flipbook fun, and I think you can learn a lot just by using flipbooks. And by the way, we used to say flipbooks, I'll get a little sketchbook and use that as a flipbook. They're not so good for flipping, so I recommend little white cards. You can get them at office equipment stores, just blank filing cards, small ones, and use those as flipbooks. Anyway, there's that. And the other course that's available on the beta app right now to be paid for is a short course I did just to test interest out there. Did anyone want a crash course on social media animation, you know, for Instagram, TikTok, etc., etc.? How do you put a short, i.e. 15-second film together that's good, that not just, you know, scroll through and ignore it, but actually rivets and holds you there? And so it's a mini production course. And those 2 courses are approximately $70 if you buy them, but if you donate $40, you get both of them, plus everything else we've talked about in the previous ones. Okay, so that's what they are. Two digital on-demand courses for just over half the price, plus all the other rewards, perks that we talked about.
I like that.
Okay.
Now for me, I'm going to have to, I was like, because you're mentioning things, I'm going, wait, did you tell me that before? So the social media thing, I'm really interested in, because it's like, you're right. There are a lot of things that are out there. There's some that are good, and then there's some like, okay, I want those 15 seconds of my life back. So yes, I definitely want to check that out.
Yeah, I mean, I've just approached it as shrinking down one of my, I have a big 48-week course, live online course, and I basically shrunk most of that down into 6. That I was actually teaching 6 2-hour classes for it, and shrinking it all down. How do you do it just to go on social media and make it watchable? And so that's what it's all about. I don't really get into the how to be an influencer, how to market, how to do it. It's none of that. It's just, how do you actually physically make a short film that's going to be impactful and done well and structured well? And that's what that's all about.
Love it. Okay, so this other one,
Ta-da!
ta-da. So here is a concept, and Tony and I were talking about this. When people normally ask me, am I an animator? I'm going, technically, no, I'm more of a hack. I'm a trainer, but I don't really consider myself an animator. And early in our relationship, I would send Tony my, this kind of send these little snippets of things. I'm like, hey, Tony, what do you think about this? And I would have a walk cycle or something in there, but I'd also have a camera move. And Tony would basically say the equivalent of a Southern "bless your heart." Here we go. Oh, that's a lovely multi-plane. I'm like, he didn't say a word about the walk cycle. Okay, it sucks. Okay, so, but looking back on it, I was thinking about when I do teach. There's a hack or a shortcut trick that I use when teaching a walk cycle, and I was telling Tony, I said this would be kind of cool. What if we team taught something where, because when it comes down to the what is it, the contact and passing poses and all those things, when I teach, I barely use, I don't use those words exactly. As a matter of fact, I talk about doing splits and figure fours. So it's like, I was like, okay, well, what if we did a tag team thing where, and Tony would basically be, well, Tony, you can tell about what part you would do. You go ahead.
Yeah. Well, the idea would be to do something like a walk, because one of the planned courses on the app for the future, when we're funded to do it, I'm going to do a special course on walks and runs, because everyone needs to be able to know how to do those. But there are variations of, there's personality walks, there's all kinds of emotional walks, and anyway, so I thought it would be kind of cool to do a walkthrough of that. So literally a walkthrough of that. And so I would start the class by explaining quickly how I would animate pencil and paper style or digital drawing style, how to do a walk, a generic walk cycle, which can then be adapted into a million different ways. Then maybe Tony could then reinterpret that in the Harmony world. And then at the end, we can come together and say, hey, okay, how can we modify that and do a military walk, or do a slow, dragging, reluctant walk, or do an uptight walk, or whatever kind of walk. And we would play around with it and just show by changing keys, passing positions, etc., even within the digital rigged world, how quickly you can change the nature and the personality of a walk just by moving a couple of positions, key positions and things. And even, you know, I'm against letting the software do all the in-betweens anyway, but we could do that very quickly to illustrate in this, our what we call two-tone tutorial. We could quickly show how variations of walks work just by changing a couple of things. But first, you've got to know, you know, I was going to say you need to walk before you run, but you actually need to walk before you walk in this course. So we'll show you how to do the generic mechanical solid sound walk, and then we'll play with it. Does that cover it? I think it does.
It does, and it does.
It's a unique course because I know nothing about Harmony, so I'm going to be learning too.
And to let everyone know, this is and this is one of the other things about this. This is definitely, if you ever want to see the two of us teach a class, this will be the first time we're pulling this off. One, it is going to be a live course where it's going to be broken down. Some parts will be pre-recorded, but we are going to be teaching it live online. And if you were going to actually attend this in the real world, if we were going to actually sell this, it would not be $60. It would probably start north of like around $295 for that. But again, we really could use, I think this is again a worthwhile project. And I think are we limiting this one to, this is the first limited one. I think it's limited to 40 seats, is it? Or
I think it will be limited. I actually don't know, to be honest. I can't remember if I limited this one or not, Tony, but it will be limited. We can't just make it infinite.
Yeah, because it is live. It's like,
yeah.
200 people online would be a bad idea. So
yeah.
All right. Next up.
Okay, back to me. So yeah, my last book, Animation Masterclasses. I thought I had a copy of it around here, but I don't. To show you, it's a really thick, incredible tome of a book. And if you haven't got it already, you'll know that it's pretty much my 50+ years of experience in the industry, all put into one book. So it's a book in itself, but I thought, wouldn't it be cool to personally sign it to people and send it to people? Now we're only shipping in the US. Because to ship a book like that overseas is a nightmare. I've done it once and I'll never do it again, because you have to fill in all kinds of stuff, and the cost is it's way beyond the cost of the book. So it can only be in the US, I'm afraid. But we figure that at the 75 level, it would be very cool to have a personally signed book. I could sign it to you or to whoever you want me to sign it to. It could be a cool gift for you to give to somebody else. But yeah, so that's essentially the one of the few physical things we're sending out, but it will come with a signature and a personal dedication.
Yeah, and that one is definitely limited. I think you have 10 of those. Is that?
Yeah, 10.
Cool. All right. Next up.
Yeah.
This is back on me. This is one of the master classes that now one of the Toon Boom things I teach that I'm actually doing is it is a pre-recorded course, and that's in Harmony Essentials. This one is actually a live course where I go over the basics of this simple rigging, but it's actually in Harmony Premium. And if you've ever seen, what is that? Harmony, you see all the little cables and things around. That's the node view, and kind of teaching you exactly how to work with that and what's going on with that. So yeah, now again, the masterclass, when I do teach those run north of $295, but this is again a worthy cost. So we did it like at a 10, a limit of 10, but we are teaching that same information for that class there. All right.
Okay, so at this stage we were talking about suitable perks, and we were discussing a t-shirt, and it would be on demand in the US, at least. People could order it from their local store, and suddenly thought, yeah, we want more than the t-shirt. And then I remembered that when I did my festival a few years ago, we were at the IMAX theater in Seattle, and we had this amazing array of people came along, and including Richard Williams participated, Don Hahn, the Disney producer. I can't remember everyone now. Daniel Docio, who's a big name in the design side of the game industry, and Hummy Man, who's a movie composer, film. We had a full orchestra at this festival, would you believe it, playing cartoon themes. It was the most fantastic festival. Anyway, I had this the poster printed, and I got a lot of people to sign them. So if you're a collector of animation, not antiques, but collectibles, let's put it like that, and you want a poster with Richard Williams' name on it, Don Hahn's name on it, Daniel Docio, and everyone else, and I'm on there as well, this might be the one for you. Now, we've only got 7 of these, and again, we only ship in the US, all right, because we don't want to get into exporting abroad, and it's a nightmare. Customs, immigration, not immigration, but customs and everything. It's a nightmare. So US only, but very rare signed posters, and especially in our 2D world, Richard Williams is, a big collectible name to have, and we have 7 of them. So that's where that one comes in. Better than the t-shirt, I think. Maybe not. Maybe we'll add a t-shirt later anyway. Yep, Tony.
Brett, I will answer that question towards our Q&A. Let's see. Is that the last?
No, we got more.
Okay, cool. There.
Okay, so I mentioned my 48-week live. I call it Tuesday Night Live. It's animation masterclasses, 4 modules, 12 classes in each module, 2 hours per class on Zoom. And the whole price of that for one module is $840. We're offering 3 seats for one of those modules for $350 here. Okay, and it's a very extensive class. It's not just come and sit for 2 hours and goodbye, see you next week. I set up a private classroom just for the class, and students are allowed to submit their work, ask questions, do things between classes. I give feedback, I drop videos in there, all kinds of things. So I'm totally proactive with these classes because I really believe in them. And we thought we'd give one away. At the moment, it would be module 1, which starts in, the next one starts in September. We're in September. Later this month, the next one starts and goes for 12 weeks. And if anyone signs on for the one after that, it will be module 2, and so on and so on. So we thought that would be, and there's only 3 available of that. And yeah, finally, our biggie, and this isn't really for any of you guys at the worker level, let's put it like this. unless you're a animation superstar, or you have your own studio, or you're a corporate, distributor or anything. We're looking for sponsors. Okay, the easy way to sponsor this whole app would be to have sponsors sponsor individual courses or individual items like the festival or whatever, and we're offering those at 500. So if anyone of that level wants to sponsor a course or an event within the app, they get full branding all the way through it, through that whole course. Every, however we'll set it up, it will be your course, your sponsored course, your branding, your name, whatever it is. Okay, so obviously that's a different audience to what we're talking about now, I think, because we're really talking about Adobe and Toon Boom and all the big names in the industry who might be interested in supporting what we're trying to do.
So
okay, that covers it, I think.
Yeah, and I'll say on the sponsor thing. So what if for those of you listening, if you are there, or if you know someone who is, those of you who are working for studios, like, or if you have, this is going to sound snobby as hell, or hear me out, or if you just have that amount of money sitting around, hey, we welcome it. So it's like, it's a really good cause. And I'm pretty psyched about I'm already psyched about where it is, but the potential of where it can go is pretty awesome. So
yeah, who knows? It can go, I've said before, we can't even envisage where it's going. The industry's going. So we're trying to build a platform that will adapt to the times and the tools and the techniques that are going to be used in the future. But the knowledge is irreplaceable. The knowledge, we're trying to save the knowledge. That's what the app's all about.